Hey, 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 we're back again for the first time in a little bit while. There's always that separation between me and Dom at times. But we're here for a good show because why? The Ducks got it done again. I am Todd Fox. I'm joined by Catella Chronicles' finest, Dominic Lorenz. How you doing, my friend?
Oh, it's going to be a good Friday tonight. Glad to have you back on the post-game show, and we get to have a victorious one. It's been kind of helter-skelter lately, but 2 points is 2 points.
Yeah, I know the other night that you did the post game, I know you're a little frustrated. They got the one, they got the pity point, but it
Yep.
would have felt a lot better had they got that victory as they just came short. But nonetheless, the Ducks win the season series with the former Arizona Coyotes, now the Utah Mammoth, as they win 4-1 tonight and pick up, like you said, those most important 2 points, fellas, and everyone out there, because the Ducks right now are 3 points ahead of Edmonton, 4 points ahead of Vegas, and they've got the Kings in the rearview mirror at
Mm-hmm.
8 points back. One thing before we jump into tonight's game, I wanted to ask you, because the last time I was on, there was about like 17 or 18 games left in the season, and I felt, man, they need to pick up at least around 20, 21 points the rest of the way. Maybe 18 can get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
A couple games later, do you think 15 points clinches this division?
With the way things have lined up, at least with Edmonton, Vegas, the Kings, and the Kraken, and even San Jose, they're only 10 points back of the Ducks in 6th place. I would say if the Ducks somehow, I got 13 games to go, that's 26 potential points.
Mm-hmm.
Netting 15 points, I feel would be safe, right? That would give us 95 points on the season, which means the Kings, for example, who are in 4th, would have to get 23 points out of their possible 20 some odd.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say 15 would feel safe. And we'll see kind of maybe when we hit that 10-pointer, okay, do we need 5 more? Do we need 7 more? Maybe we only need 3 more. But I would say 15 is a nice safeguard. And last night, Edmonton losing, Vegas losing, San Jose losing, the Kings losing in a shootout, and the Kraken losing. It felt very nice to be an Anaheim Ducks last night and then get the win today.
Absolutely. So Ducks hold on tonight and win, because again, this one was close, and they win the season series against the Mammoth, winning in Utah for the first time and being up there for the first time. So that's always good. They got the job done there. So that being said, how'd they get it done, Dom?
It's one of those games, as I kind of put my overall spin on it first, is the Ducks were against a relentless attack from the Mammoth tonight, early and often. In just by looking at the shot totals, 14-5 in favor of Utah in the first, 9-9 even in the second, and the Ducks outshoot them 10-7 in the third. But that included, foreshadowing, 2 empty net goals. So in hindsight, Utah came out strong. They came out scoring first again. When don't the Ducks score first? That's just a commonality nowadays. But I would say the Ducks were outplayed early and often in the first period, but they found a way, and we'll get into this in the scoring breakdown, to create their own opportunities and just create their own momentum. One guy passed the puck to another, passed the momentum to the next person, and it just kind of steamrolled into a very good effort from top to bottom, which, coming off of a loss that did not look pretty at times against Philadelphia, even though you got the pity point, you needed a more encompassing team effort. And I'd say out of the last couple of wins for the Ducks, this was more team friendly today than not over the past couple of week or two action.
Yeah, to add on to that, I think the Ducks have played phenomenal games of adjustments. When falling down early, they've been able to rally around, like you said, kind of sort of like that boxer that gets punched early just to see how it feels. And then it's like, okay, I'm locked in now.
Yeah.
Sometimes the Ducks just, for whatever reason, bro, they give up a soft goal or something happens early where they're just not ready. I don't know if they're not, if the pre-skate isn't good, but whatever it is, man,
they just want to be punched in the mouth first.
I guess.
And that's fine. There's teams that love to play with their backs up against the wall or know that they have to fight for something and not know that everything is given to them and they run out with a 4-0 lead early in the first period and just put themselves in cruise control the rest of the way. I'm okay with it because I feel Coach Quenneville knows how to play in that style of hockey. I don't necessarily feel good in my heart about it 24/7 because it puts all of us in an anxious pattern.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, when you look at it, 2020 vision in hindsight, a win is still a win no matter how you get it at the end of the day. And the more the Ducks grind their teeth and get through these type of games, it's only going to be better for them moving towards the postseason.
Yeah, and I like this the way that they're playing because, again, if you look at Utah right now, Utah's got a similar record to the Ducks. They're
Yep.
only 2 points back. I mean, they would have had their 80th point had they got the victory tonight.
Yep.
They're just playing in a much more competitive division, obviously, with Minnesota, Dallas, and Colorado. The Ducks sitting there winning this division, I think, because it's so funny how things have changed. Before we get into the games, I know you talked about the shots and everything else like that, but I just want to give an overall where we're at again because it still trips me out about where this hockey team is and how ahead of the curve they are. With that being said, Dom, I mean, it is huge if Anaheim can win this division compared to what we were anticipating of just, hey, can we just make the playoffs to feel good?
Yeah.
You know,
It is wild. I agree with you. It is wild.
Yeah, I was just going to make the point that now that we're this far into the season and the Ducks have a winning record and an opportunity to do something great, they almost can't get in that wild card position. It's almost like they need to win the division. Am I wrong?
Yes. And I know a lot of people have ragged on the Pacific Division this year with it being not as much of a competition as other divisions. Because if you look in the entire NHL, the Ducks, who are first place in their own division, are 13th in the entire NHL. Typically, division leaders are probably for sure top 10. But again, when you have divisions like the Central that has Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota already over 90 points, that's 3 teams from a tough division. Buffalo, who has been a revelation, they have been in the dumps for years, which is the next Ducks opponent, on Sunday. They're at 92 points. Tampa Bay, who the Ducks have played very hard this year, 88 points. Carolina, a cup threat consistently at 94 points. So yes, first place team at 80 points is a little rough. But the Ducks have 38 wins. Let's not forget that. The Ducks have 38 wins in 69 games. That is more wins than the Pittsburgh Penguins, who only have 34 and they're 7th in the league. Montreal, who the Ducks beat twice, who are 8th best in the NHL at 37 points. So I know the pity points and everything kind of shakes out in different ways for different teams, but the Ducks are still being competitive with what they have to deal with Edmonton, who's a cup threat, Vegas, who's already run a cup, a crosstown rival in the Kings, and scrappy Seattle and San Jose teams. So to me, this division is tough within its own right. Am I going to put them up with Minnesota, Dallas, and Colorado? Maybe not. But hey, let's put it in a perspective here. The Ducks beat Colorado once. They beat Dallas twice. And let's not talk about Minnesota. We'll leave that for another day. We'll leave that later.
And last I got on that, Dom, do you agree this could flip next year with all the talent that's in the Pacific youthful? What if it flips and the Central becomes the Pacific and the Pacific becomes the Central?
We've seen stranger things. And again, the Ducks above their curve for what we anticipated.
Yep.
Same thing with San Jose. Same thing with Buffalo. Like, how many people thought Buffalo was going to be controlling and in the 2 seed in the Eastern Conference? There are teams, the Washington Capitals, the Florida Panthers, the Toronto Maple Leafs, the New York Rangers, all within the bottom 5, and even the New Jersey Devils. We're at a juncture now in the NHL where that youth movement of all the crappier teams when the Ducks were going through their franchise worst season, same thing with San Jose, are making that ascent. So you're seeing the turnover of the Ovechkin, Crosby era players going down, and now the Leo Carlson, Cutter Gauthier, Celebrini, Alt, Connor Bedard. Those are the guys that are now going to be leading the NHL. And it's a big pinnacle time in the league, and the Ducks are at the forefront of it, which is awesome.
Yeah, and I don't think I've ever seen a season as competitive as this one. And I think it's only going to get better as we move on. Because like you brought up earlier, traditionally Buffalo's been in the trash, and now they're one of the best teams. So
all of a sudden, here we are, and the Ducks are going to get a 4D version of them right up in their grill on Sunday at Honda Center. So, you want to be the best, you got to play the best. And even though point-wise we are essentially 6 games worse than the Sabres via points, a battle. And when you get deeper into March, and there's only about 3.5 weeks left in this season, it's, as I said in the game on Wednesday in the postgame show, it is go time. There is no time to wait anymore. When we talk about, this team is getting hot at the right time and that playoff push, regardless if you're already in the playoffs, like a Colorado, you want to play well these final 3 weeks to boost you and give you that proper, correct momentum into the playoffs.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself, man. Gotta ride that hot goalie, and hopefully one of these goalies gets super hot for us, because I think that's what we're missing right now. It's just a hot goalie, because we got the offense, man. The offense is there. And speaking of offense, let's talk about how this game got going, because we're talking about a mammoth win tonight.
It is a mammoth win. Boy, oh boy, the Ducks go from ice cold to red hot, orange hot. We don't say red hot. We'll say orange hot for the night. But as per tradition, as our good buddy Zach from Ducks Game Day Breakdown always says about, the power play going 0 for whatever, in typical Ducks fashion, as per tradition, Utah, the opponent, scores first, and a minute and 48 into the contest, very early on, and 34th goal of the year for Gunther. Utah up 1-0, and you're sitting there saying, okay, it's happened again. What are we going to do? How do we remedy this situation? Defense, goalie, take a pick out of a hat and kind of have your pick of the litter for that night. However, when I talked about it just a little while ago about one player creating an opportunity, and that kind of shoots the light bulb off for everybody, not just on the ice, but on the bench. And this guy, we've talked about guys this year, Gauthier, Seneca, Terry, Carlson, Trouba at times. This dude, I know I've talked about him. He got a contract extension, and for damn good reason. A shorthanded goal, playing it off the boards, creating an opportunity for himself. And it's Ryan Poehling, his 9th of the year, 14th assist from Killorn, 12th assist from Pavel Mintyukov. And this was the proper way, late in the first, to get on the board and get going. Ryan Poehling has been a stud on these back 3 lines for Anaheim this season. These are the cases right now where the Ducks need those scrappy guys. And Ryan Poehling reminds me so much, maybe not the scoring ability, but the scrappiness ability of a guy. A lot of people might know this going into it. Do you remember number 39, Matt Bolesky? That guy, throwback to the playoff days in the 2010s. Poehling reminds me of Matt Bolesky, just scrappy, hard-nosed. You'll see like blood down his face from doing something that creates a situation. But since he's gotten his contract and throughout the season, Ryan Poehling has gotten his flowers 9 times. And if you look at all 9 goals that he's gotten in a row, I would say at least 5 of them, maybe even 6 of them, are scrappy, create my own opportunity, and does something great to create a great moment, which I really, really love.
Yeah, dude, I mean, the passing, for anytime you can get a shorthanded goal, that's special. And these guys have done it more often than not. And dude, I'm liking what he's done since before the contract, getting the contract. He's proven that was the right move. And another guy who got the assist, Killorn, another one that's out there doing the small things and just being sometimes in the right place at the right time, getting the head assist on that goal. So we were tied at 1, What
And,
happened in the second period, my man?
you bring up Alex Killorn because in a wild and wacky play, a little bit of a loose puck action, and the Ducks with Beckett Seneca's 32nd assist tease up Alex Killorn. The goalie is floundered in the middle of the blue paint for Utah, and he finds a way to rip it top shelf, gets the job done. Killorn's 11th goal of the season. Another veteran making big moves for the Anaheim Ducks. It's exactly what you want. And like Ryan Poehling, we've talked about Alex Killorn on this show. He's kind of been a silent killer for Anaheim this season. He has played with a different edge to his game this season, and I've seen him on the ice really looking to incorporate himself with this youthful core. And the first 2 years in his contract with Anaheim has not gone exactly the way we may have planned it after winning 2 cups in Tampa Bay. So East Coast to West Coast, year 3 of Alex Killorn, I want to replicate this. Yes, is he scoring 30 goals a season? No, but his 11th goal and 14 assists have been absolutely what the Ducks have needed, especially with Ryan Strome now in Calgary. Frankie Vetrano's gone through hell and back this season. It has been Trouba and Killorn that have anchored down that veteran presence on this team and have been an absolute shot in the arm, and he proved it once again tonight.
And that goal you were talking about, I'm still trying to figure out how he snuck it in between the goalie who was recovering, still doing the splits on the right side of the net, and the defender that was using his entire body, which I thought, no, he's going to block it with his chest or his arm or something. So somehow he wristed it through.
Yeah, and if that was a young guy in that situation, most young players in the NHL are more quick trigger. Just as soon as they get the puck, throw it on. When he got the pass from Seneca, he kind of took a little step. He got it. Let me, settle the puck, make sure it stays flat. He assessed it and all in one motion, then flicked the wrist and put it top shelf. So that's that finesse that a veteran can put on the tape. And Lineman brings up a good point as we talk about Poehling and Killorn early. Ross Johnson, Jeffrey VL. We're going to talk about VL when he got into that massive fight tonight. He was definitely undermanned. He's like 6'1", 214. The guy he's fighting is like 6'4", and he gave him toe-to-toe, punch for punch. And you saw Jeffrey VL after that. He looked at the Ducks bench. Instead of going to the penalty box, he's like lifting his arms like, this is the energy that we need right now. And that's a guy that's not going to go on the tape 24/7 as, oh, this is a 20-goal score. It's the small nuance things that are getting the job done. And guys like Poehling, Johnston, and VL are grade A at doing that. So good pickups for Pat Verbeek.
Absolutely. So that moved us on after the Ducks were the only ones to score in that second period. That proved to be the game winner. As a spoiler alert, the third period started and we got right back to something weird. The Ducks not scoring and the opponent not scoring either, because we're used to shootouts with these teams. So it was quiet in the third period up until when?
Up until Dostal made some pretty good saves in the third period. Dostal had to come up big. When you're up 1 in the third and it's a potential playoff preview matchup on the road, it's one of those weird road trips where you're home, away, and then you get on a flight right back home. You don't want to sit there and say, okay, we're up 2-1, let's pack it up and go on in. The Ducks did a very good job defensively of not giving away too many easy, quote-unquote, opportunities. Dostal still had to come up big. How do they get rewarded? A pair of empty net goals at the end. Utah wanted to pull their goalie not once, but twice. Again, even when the Ducks were up 3-1 on the first empty netter. And here's my theme with the empty netters tonight. If you go back, if you saw the game, fantastic. If you watch the recap, great. If you haven't seen the game yet and you're tuning on into us now, rewatch the highlights. The Ducks on not one, but 2 of the empty netters, both selfless plays, because you had first off Carlson getting it to VL. VL had a clear path to the net, and he said, I'm good. I'm going to give it to Cutter Gauthier to get his 36th goal of the season. Like, that is selfless hockey.
It is.
A guy who's top on your team, and VL being a backline guy who's more scrappy in this bunch. you see that team mentality in this game, which is awesome. So 3-1 Ducks on the empty netter from Cutter Gauthier.
Oh yeah, this is where I blow the horn.
This is where you gotta blow. You gotta honk the horn here at this point. There we go. Cutter Gauthier getting the job done. 36th goal of the season, 62nd point. When the Ducks have team MVP at the end of the year, it's going to be Cutter Gauthier.
Yeah, you would think.
Leo Carlson missed some time. He's been great this year. Beckett Seneca's been great. Troy Terry's been great. But the mainstay, the stable factor in the Ducks lineup all season long, he's missed one game due to illness. Cutter Gauthier. Like, it's amazing.
It would be amazing to see if they did War for Hockey to see what his would be. Because I mean, I'm telling you, he's been a difference maker in quite a few of these games.
When you keep the momentum up and VL getting the assist, and then the newcomer, John Carlson, getting his first points as a Duck, his 37th assist of the season. So even though it's on we talk about pity points, a pity goal, the empty netter, the overall numbers ain't going to give a dang if it's a even strength, power play, shorthanded, or empty netter. So Gauthier from VL and Carlson, and then just about 40 seconds later, Mikhail Granlund, who got shifted down a line, I believe, to the third line tonight, has struggled coming out of the Olympic break and out of an injury playing for Team Finland. Nets his 13th of the year from another selfless player. Ryan Poehling could have had a 2-goal night. Instead, he gives some positivity and momentum to Granlund with an assist from Killorn, a 3-point night from Alex Killorn, and the Ducks lock this one up, a 4-1 win to win 2 of 3 against Utah this season. Yes, back in the win column. The Ducks getting points in now 3 straight games, so 5 points in their last 6 opportunities.
And before we get into our 3 stars of the game, by the way, brought to you in part by 714 Tickets, the only place where you can get and use your HITI, which stands for Halos in the Infield discount, 10% off any ticket purchase, and the only place where they don't charge service fees or taxes on your tickets. So the price you see is the price you get. And it's not only having to do with hockey. It could go with anything from monster trucks to Vegas in-house specials to shows outside the country. Just look up 714 Ticket. They're a broker that goes nationwide and worldwide. So with that being said, before we get into that, I got a weird stat for you. In the 3 games, the Ducks were outscored 10-7. Yet they won 2 of them. So
that one 7-0 affair when the Ducks were just off, whichever, I think that was in December. I think it was in the midst of that 9-game losing streak early on in the season. Glad to have that to the wayside, and the Ducks should not be performing like that. But to be outscored, but still come out with wins, you're doing something right.
And that reminds me of the other end of the spectrum before we get into your 3 stars of the night presented to you by 714 Tickets and Catella Chronicles. Had to throw it out there. You remember, was it 2 years ago, I believe it was now, when the Angels went to Colorado and they outscored the Colorado Rockies 28-13 and lost the 3-game series 2-1.
Just because you score 25 runs in one game can sometimes mean nothing the next day. And we fleeced them for 2 players. That was when we got CJ Cron and Randall Gritchen.
That was amazing, dude. I was like, dude, how do you lose a series outscored
and in Colorado, to be exact?
Yeah, exactly. All right, enough of that team, because we got to celebrate them next week.
Hey,
when we started.
We have this. Hey, I hate to tell you, folks, we are 6 days away from hockey season having to be shared with baseball season.
Yes, that's going to be pretty intense on here. We're going to be doing double post games at one point, I believe.
It's going to be great.
Yes. So with that being said, let's get into that foreshadowing of the 3 stars brought to you in part by Catella Chronicles.
Woo!
Well, Dom, let's hear it, man. Who are your 3 stars of the game?
Here we go. The 3 stars of the game brought to you by us here on the Heedy Post Game Show. The number 3 star of the night. And sidebar, it's going to be all 3 Anaheim Ducks in courtesy of a 4-1 win tonight on the road in Utah. Your number 3 star of the game, the man in between the pipes. Lukas Dostal, 29 saves in 30 attempts. Yes, indeed. After giving up a goal in just the first minute and a half of the game, he goes spotless the rest of the night, a .967 save percentage.
Nice.
And Dostal, these are the games that are going to come up clutch for the Ducks moving forward. They got some tough opponents coming on up. And when you pair a very nice night from Dostal, a very nice night defensively from Anaheim, and we'll talk about this after the 3 stars and the hoser, because I want to talk about the defensive side of things, how the Ducks have looked with John Carlson in the lineup the last 3 games. It's going to help your goaltender. And I think it really shows tonight, and Dostal definitely deserves a great performance and a 3rd star of the game. The number 2 star of the game, talked about him a lot. He inked a 4-year extension. He created his own shorthanded goal. He was selfless, giving Mikael Granlund the 13th goal. It's Ryan Poehling. This guy, he knows how to get the job done, the savvy veteranship. And right now, if you put it into perspective, even though it was 2 separate trades, let's put it together. The Ducks sent Jamie Drysdale and Trevor Zegras to Philadelphia to essentially get Cutter Gauthier and Ryan Poehling. Ducks are winning this trade. Sorry. I'm not jaded. It's real. Look at the numbers. Look at the impact that they make on the ice consistently. And the Ducks, Pat Verbeek, A+ baby on that trade.
Oh yeah, you're not being biased whatsoever. I mean, it's clear to see the Ducks have won that trade.
Yeah, if you look at and to think about it in terms of Ryan Poehling, for example, Poehling now 62 games played. He's played in nearly almost every single game for the Ducks this season. 9 goals, 22 assists, a 31-point season for Poehling. And if you look at his career numbers, again, it started in 2018 with the Montreal Canadiens, but his best years were with Philadelphia and even Pittsburgh. He's been on a lot of teams in his career. The most points he's had in a season, 31 last year with the Flyers. He had 12 goals and 19 assists. That was in 68 games. In 6 less games played this year, he has matched that mark with 31 points. Before that, 28 points, 14 points, 17 points. He is having a career year.
Gotta love it. And teams that make the playoffs and come out of nowhere need a few guys like him that were role players other places or role players before. They're still kind of role players in Poehling, but he's maxing his performance. And you gotta love that. So 2 down, 1 to go. Who was your number 1 star?
A multi-point performance tonight from the savvy veteran. You don't get many nights like these often from Alex Killorn. A goal, a pair of assist. He also is on pace. There's still 12 games to go. You never know what can happen. But from what we've seen as a complete package from Killorn this year is definitely, I don't care what the statistics say, he is having a more complete season in an Anaheim Ducks sweater. Alex Killorn, a point on a goal, 2 points for the assist, a 3-point night, one of his best nights of the season. Alex Killorn, your number 1 star of tonight's 4-1 win. Let's go.
All right, now we go from the highs to the lows. Who is your hoser of the night, Mr. Kitella Chronicles?
Let's go. In and out. It's fine. We know the hoser award's coming. And tonight's hoser award, funny enough, typically it's always a losing team, which it will be tonight. And sometimes you got to look at the goalie first. But in a 4-1 game, half of the goals were empty netters. So the goalie is kind of in the clear tonight.
He's off the hook.
He went 20 for 22 in saves and had a 90.9 save percentage. So really, you're good. You're fine. Nothing's happening in that case scenario. Looking up and down the box score tonight, I'm not going to lie. Looking at the Utah lineup, there is not many people that I could say, hey, I know that guy by name and know his style of play. However, the hoser tonight, it's going to be the guy that looked like a fool. I pity the fool that tries to fight Jeffrey VL. And that is tonight's hoser of the night, Jack McBain. McBain, who did nothing on the ice as well. He had no points, no shots, no nothing. And in 70 games played, he only has 24 points. And you don't look great in a fight against a guy who's 4 inches shorter than you. But like Rocky Balboa, you never judge a book by its cover, the heart of an Italian stallion. And no, I know Jeffrey VL is not the Italian stallion, but he was tonight. So Jack McBain, your hoser of the night.
Hoser of the night, brought to you far by Kitzella Chronicles and Halos in the Infield. And by the way, for Dor to be asking hoser, well, the Canadian term hoser, for all those that don't know Canadian slang, that means a foolish, unsophisticated, or clumsy person. So it's not a derogatory term whatsoever. It's just, yeah.
Yeah. And this is the one time on the show where we will borrow something from Canada.
There you go.
We don't do that. We are American, USA, but we will borrow that from them this time around.
Besides maple syrup on my pancakes and waffles, I'm not too Canadian.
I'm not, I got it in the blood a little bit on the dad's side, but I am full and through. I would rather be, the Italian side of things than the Canadian side of things. But overall, I'd say, looking at the 3 stars and,
you wanted to get into the defense, right?
Well, yeah, that defense and one mark I know a lot of people we talked about on the last podcast on the 3-2 loss of Flyers was the conversation about Mason McTavish missing a couple of games, gets reinserted in the lineup tonight with Vetrano being out and Johnson being out. He set up essentially the Beckett Seneca assist to Alex Killorn's first goal of the night, or the 2-1 lead goal. And I think if Mason McTavish isn't going to be that guy, right? He's not going to be the star of the show, kind of filling the bootstraps of Gauthier and Carlson and Seneca on any given night. These are the kind of plays that Mason McTavish needs to play to have a positive effect on what the Ducks are doing moving forward and in the postseason, right? The Ducks are now in first place still at 80 points. We feel at least 10 to 15 more points could guarantee them a spot in the postseason. There are opportunities for McTavish to affect the game in the right way for Coach Quenneville than making goals and making assists, creating the small things. Take what Ryan Poehling has done and put that into motion. Take what Jeffrey VL has done and take that to heart. These are the kind of things that Mason McTavish needs to do. I know we've talked about it before, about how he really needed to gear up his game in the month of March. Hasn't really done so lately, but I'm hoping tonight is a step in the right direction like Pavel Mintyukov did early on in the season when he missed 3 games, and now he's upgraded to the second line tonight. Take a page out of some teammates' books, have that team mentality, and McTavish, be physical and do the things that you need to do to create, as Demetriou said, that little momentum that you can build on moving forward this late in the season.
Yeah, I'm almost starting to think, and I was going to ask you about this, the McTavish healthy scratch for a couple of games. Do you think it's sort of like just a, hey, man, sit in the corner here for a minute, watch the rest of these guys flourish, change up your game if you want back in the lineup. Let me make you hungry for it, man. Let me make you want. Let me see if you're ready to go. You think it's one of those situations where Coach Q is like, let me light a match under this dude's ass and see if he gets out there?
I could see it being a mental side of things. Again, we have the track record of how he handled Pavel Mintyukov earlier in the season, how Pavel was kind of upset. He's like, well, if you don't want to use me, trade me. And kind of that knee-jerk reaction after that first game when you were benched. And then it's like, okay, don't talk to the media. Let's talk behind closed doors. This is the method between the madness. Now go out and show me why I benched you for 3 games. And my thought process of to light a fire under your ass. Well, Mintyukov, has he been perfect this year? No. Has he been much better this year than he was early on? Abso-freaking-lutely. So if it lights a fire under McTavish's ass, then by all means, light a fire under that ass.
Yeah, because right now, dude, I mean, other than some of the cup teams that the Ducks have had in the past, this seems to be more of one of the most complete teams in the way they go about them carrying themselves during a game, whether it's,
Yeah.
they do have their rough spots, but like Lineman says right here, which I wanted your opinion on too,
Yep.
because this kind of goes to what you were kind of insinuating earlier, the Carlson effect.
Yep.
As bad as the power play has been, the penalty kill has been outstanding lately. I believe it's 14 straight penalty kills. Do you think a lot of that has to do with Carlson?
I think it does. It definitely has an effect of the X's and O's that they talk about in practice, or just in between the whistles of Carlson saying, hey, in the last 30-second shift, you were here, do this, do that. I'll handle this part. Hey, Lacombe. That all the little intangibles that go in work. I do think the Ducks power play, they're in a funk. No doubt about it. When they were 0 for 5 at the game I was at against St. Louis, 0 for 5 again tonight. It's been a strugglesome power play. If they are score, I have to look back. When was the last time the Ducks had 2 or more power play goals in a game? It's been a hot second.
It has.
Not allowing opposing teams to capitalize on your mistake of causing yourself a penalty definitely helps out your cause a little bit. And penalty kill is always dependent on defense and of course your goalie, but it does have the John Carlson effect. And I think tonight's defensive pairings, you had Lacombe, Moore, Zellweger, Trouba, Carlson, Minchikov. Again, Radko Gudas, this is his 4th game out. He'll be out on Sunday against the Sabres. He will be back for the 3-game road trip against, Vancouver, Calgary, and Edmonton in the Western Canadian track. There's going to be some questions on who the Ducks take out. Now, here's the benefit. Kind of like a switch hitter in baseball and a utility player, Ian Moore has seen a lot of time at forward this year and has taken the opportunity to play defense with Radko Gudas out and Drew Hellison being the scratch. I'm okay with Drew Hellison being the scratch. We know everybody has their opinions on Radko Gudas and the situation that happened with Austin Matthews. I was never on that postgame show to give my thoughts on Radko Gudas, and we can get that if we have a little time. We know what we have in Gudas or what we don't have in Gudas, wherever you want to be on the spectrum. This is his final season on the contract. I'm sure the Ducks are going to probably throw a little bit of money at John Carlson at the end of the day. But I really like this defensive group that the Ducks have, and I do like Ian Moore as a defenseman. Where is Owen Zellweger on the spectrum this year? Been hot. He's been cold. I think his development can benefit a lot from guys like Jacob Trouba and John Carlson. So I think this defensive unit with Carlson is definitely more cohesive. And I think what Quenneville will do when Gudas comes back, because you're not going to bench Gudas at this point. Gudas will come back. Ian Moore will go to a forward position. And my guess, probably Jansen Harkins will be a sit-down piece, or even Tim Washy at this point.
Well, you did bring up the elephant in the room. The Gudas play was dirty. I think nobody can dispute that. However, I just wasn't, and I know Gudas isn't a long-time Duck and stuff like that, but I just was not expecting on. I know you've seen it too, Dom. The Ducks fans are just like, hey, just get rid of him. Like they were so cut and dry. Like usually you have a percentage of fans that'll be like, no, it's our guy. They'll deny the truth and they'll be like, yeah, that maybe the guy was out of play. Like it wasn't really Gudas's fault. But on this one, everyone killed him, dude. Everyone's like, dude, like I'm over this guy. So I mean, where do you stand on it?
On the play itself, and I know we're going to, jump back into history since we weren't on the same podcast together after that Toronto loss during the road trip. First and foremost, do I think Radko Gudas in that moment went with the intention of, I'm going to basically F Austin Matthews' season? No, I do not think that. You can fight me if you do. I do not think he went with the intent of ending a guy's season.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think schematically speaking, not the hit, just what led to the hit, was Gudas out of position due to a poor pass from Lacombe and the Ducks basically flubbing up the puck when trying to get out of their own zone, saying it nicely? Abso-freaking-lutely. And when you're dealing with Austin Matthews, who can make something out of nothing on a dime, you're kind of put in a shit stew position. So I could see why Radko Gudas, out of defensive positioning, had to make a break for the puck. Now, when you're making a break for a puck, you see guys lunge their body, throw a stick. He decided to kind of go after him body for body. And at the last second, because Matthews is that talented, swarm away from him. And I think on instinct, like he does with his hip checks, he just threw the knee out there and went for it. Is that the right play? No. Throwing the knee out was dirty. But was the intent from the very start to wreck a guy's season?
No.
Absolutely not. So that's where I want to draw the line for myself and maybe other fans. Knee, dirty. Intention from the very beginning to end a guy's season? No. So I think we need to, let's cut the conversation in two. Was the 5-game suspension correct? Yes. I don't think it was any lower than 5 games. Should he have been given more? I'm going to be on the outside and say no. Here's my reason why. I know everybody wanted more because it's Auston Matthews and the NHL and Toronto and this, and you wrecked a guy's season. Okay, I get it. Like, if I'm a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, I'm pissed the F off. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
We lost our best player and we're already struggling with what it is. Here's the thing I want to throw out there that some people did and some people didn't. Where's Auston Matthews' backup? If the hit from a hockey perspective was as bad as fans perceive it to be, why the hell did half the bench and the guys on the ice didn't wallop Radko Gudas and literally create hell's bells on ice and beat his ass?
Well, I'll tell you why right now. Toronto media was all over them for it. That's a coach walking, what is it called?
On eggshells?
No. What's it called when they're walking down death row or whatever?
The walk of not walk of shame, but he's on thin ice with his team.
Yeah. I mean, or he's a dead man walking, basically. Yeah. He's getting fired at the end of the year. And that just goes to show you, like, the fact that they did not rally around their young star and beat Gudas's ass, or at least try to jump him.
Yeah,
it shows you something, man. It shows you that team, like, there's just no cohesiveness, and it's part of their culture, and something needs to change. So if he wasn't going to get fired prior to this, he's going to get fired now. And like what Cohen stood up later and said they won. Like he was still shocked about everything. But I will say this: March 30th, dude, which is just around the corner. They got a rematch with the Maple Leafs. True or false, bro? Are we going to have one of those where the first period pucks dropped and we just drop the gloves and just get it out of the way right away? Or is there going to be vicious hits during the game with Toronto trying to instigate stuff?
I'm going to think this. If Toronto did not do anything, which they really didn't when the hit happened, and even some of the Ducks players on the ice were like, okay, we're ready to protect our guy. Maybe not to fight, but just separate. And Lacomb's looking around like, his ass ain't getting beaten yet. Okay, we're going to get away from here. I think 2 things could happen.
Okay.
1, Toronto could have saved that energy knowing that they were going to see them at Honda Center at the end of the month, and something could go down. Do I think it's going to be one of those situations where it's puck drop, opening puck drop, and it's the whole 5-on-5 fight? I don't think so. I do think, however, I could see this scenario coming up. With the Ducks having John Carlson, what doesn't Joe Quenneville say of, hey, Radko, healthy scratch for the night?
Yeah, that's true.
Could I see that situation? Sure. But could Toronto call that a pussy play and then go after somebody? I'm going to be 100% certain. Whoever the officiating crew that game is going to be warned, hey, remember what happened? Watch out for things tonight. Don't let the post whistle scuffles get too deep. Something's going to go down. Do I think the Ducks are going to get benefits of any calls that night? Oh, hell no. It's going to be, even after the whistle blows and those little jabs, the Ducks are going to have to take some jabs without having to be like, dude, what the F? Like, it's way after the whistle. Nope, that's just, how it's going to go tonight.
I think a fun thing to do for us, I got to remember to do this, or maybe we could remind each other when they come back home for that game on the 30th. I
Yeah.
think me and you, before that, the game ends when we're summarizing the Edmonton game on the 28th. I think me
Yeah.
and you need to do over under of how many fights or scrums are going to take
Yeah.
place in that Maple Leafs game.
And Toronto fans travel. That crowd at Honda Center is probably going to be 50-50 that night.
Oh yeah, it's going to be just like Philadelphia.
It's going to be a boo fest when the Ducks hit the ice. And if Gudas does play, every time he's on the ice, it is going to be as if the Ducks were on the road, and he will get his ass booed all night long. So that game is going to be hell on ice for all 60 minutes, or 60 plus if they go to the OT session. So the best case scenario for the Ducks is to score early, score often, and just give a reverse beating, throw the reverse Uno card down, and have a 4-1 win, have a 6-1 win, have a throttling affair, and just say adios to that team. Because Toronto is and has looked a lot different without Austin Matthews, and that kind of goes without saying when you lose one of the best players in the National Hockey League.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting game because not only are they going to be egged on by the fans, they've been egged on by the media. And so I think the closer they get to the game, the coach is going to want to take shots at the Ducks, and then the media is probably going to have the Maple Leafs probably in one of their final games of the year get hyped up by the local media. So they're going to come into Honda Center with a chip on their shoulder. That's why I think this one is going to be a crazy one. It's going to be a scrappy game, but I think we summed up a lot tonight. The only thing I think we have left to do is talk about those upcoming 5 games before we tap into April. Let's summarize up the final 5 games.
Let's do it.
And you've been very, very, and I got to toot your horn on this one, man. You've been very good at when we prognosticate when
Todd with the language prognosticate.
Right.
Woo, snaps for Todd, baby. Let's go.
All right, I'm making my English teacher proud. When you give your, the prognostications about what you think they're going to do on an upcoming road trip or homestand or whatever like that, you're usually dead on. Even when you have to be critical, you're pretty dead on. So I want to get Catella Chronicles' own Dominic Lorenz the opportunity to talk about a 3-game road trip after Buffalo and coming home to Toronto to finish out the month of March. How do you think the Ducks do against Buffalo, Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, and then Toronto?
This is going to be a very interesting 5-game stretch. Very interesting because the Ducks 6-4-1 in the month of March so far. Buffalo is going to be a tough game. They have really come into their own. They have played exceptional hockey, especially post-Olympic break and throughout the season. They wouldn't be second in the East if it wasn't for that. So could I see the Ducks being scrappy and squeak by with the win? Yes. Could I see them losing this game? I could. It depends on the kind of night that the Ducks want to come out to the ice and have. So, look, coin toss. Buffalo's a coin toss, but it's a very good team. And kind of like when we talk about Colorado, if the Ducks lose but play well, hopefully they get some help. Again, I don't want to say I'm okay to lose because this division is way too close for comfort, right? We're only out. So you want to win, but I'll be a realist in that game. Vancouver needs to be a win. You are 0-2 against them this year.
Yes.
And both games you looked terrible.
Yeah, and
do not fall into the freaking trap. Stop that.
I will say this, Tom. You're absolutely correct. Because I think it was both times we played Vancouver this year, they came off of hot streaks. So you're like, oh, this is Vancouver. We should roll over them.
Yep.
What the hell, man?
Yep. No, 5-2 loss, bad. A 2-0 loss, bad. It's bad. So that definitely needs to be a win. Calgary, a reunion against former Duck Ryan Strome. Calgary, I will say, they have played with a little pep in their step. They started at the bottom of the Pacific Division standings early on 63 points this season. So, they're not completely out of the woods yet, but it's a trap game you don't want to be a part of. And the Ducks have done well against Calgary this year, an OT win, a late win here at Honda Center. So going into their place, they need to make that a win, which sets up the final game of that Canadian road trip against Edmonton. This could be, I don't want to say it's the one for all the marbles, but it's the last time you're going to see Edmonton this year. You've already finished off with Vegas. You've already finished off with the Kraken, I believe. Yes, we've already finished off
done with
the
the
Kraken. You've already finished off with the Kings. You are done with the top teams within your division. You need to win that game. And a big note, if you haven't been following the NHL, the top two tandem in Edmonton, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl. Draisaitl out for the rest of the regular season with an injury. So one man down is Edmonton. And the Ducks need to take full advantage of that. Shut down Connor McDavid, figure things out. And looking at Edmonton of late, let's just go with the last week. Lost to Dallas, lost to St. Louis, lost to Florida tonight, or yesterday, I should say. And they had 2 wins against Nashville and San Jose. They are 2-3 in their last 5 games. So scuffling a little bit, which is helping the Ducks' cause. You need to go out and win that game. So to me, just those 4 games, and then Toronto, you had them at their place up 3-1 until the Gudis hit. So you know what it takes to get the advantage on them. And unfortunately, sorry, they don't have Austin Matthews. I don't condone the hit, don't condone the injury. I feel bad for him regardless. To me, the Ducks need to win 4 of 5. They are capable of winning 4 of 5. The Buffalo game and the Edmonton game are going to be the 2 toughest. Toronto's just a tick under that because of the emotions of that game. But they need to beat Vancouver. They need to beat Calgary. That road trip needs to be a sweep. Sweep the heck out of Canada. If the Ducks can win 4 of 5, that would put us at 88 points. That would be huge to finish off. I think we talked about it earlier in the month about where the Ducks needed to be at the end of March.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we said somewhere between, 80 to 85 points in that range.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
I think you said between 83 and 85.
Okay. So again, the Ducks, 10 points on the table the rest of the month. They should be able to get a minimum of 3, which would put us right in that window. Again, the Ducks would love to have, I would say, 15 more points out of their final, we were 69 games in, so we got 13 to go, so 26. So the Ducks need 15 out of 26 points for me to feel very comfortable about making the postseason. And that can start right then and there, because when you get into April, there is, I hate to say it, April is a little soft. You have San Jose twice. You have St. Louis, which
owns us for some reason.
Weirdly enough. Calgary again, 2 against Nashville, 1 against Vancouver, and then 1 against Minnesota, who's one of the best.
That's a tune-up game for the playoffs, if I had to say so.
Yeah, so all of those teams, with the exception of Minnesota, are not in playoff contention as we speak right now. So you got to get through this next 5-game tough stretch and then be a bully to teams that are not in playoff contention.
I'll tell you this right now, Dom. I could see Edmonton losing like 1 or 2 before we play them. And if the Ducks get points in the next 3, meaning if they beat Vancouver, Calgary, and take a pity point against Buffalo, getting a 5-point, 5 more points, and maybe Edmonton responds with 2, you're still up 5. And if you beat Edmonton and go up 7, boy, you're in good shape. That's a body blow right there.
Now, that's before we go on. I know we've been on longer, reunited, and it feels so good kind of type night. But we thank you for being. It's Friday night. Let's party.
Yes.
Let's just quickly compare. I just talked about what the Ducks had left. Let's talk about Edmonton and what Vegas has very quickly.
Okay.
To finish the next couple of games up until the Ducks play Edmonton, they have Tampa Bay at home, at Utah, at Vegas. Tough stretch.
That is tough.
And then the Ducks will play them. Then they have Seattle, division opponent. Flip the calendar to April. Chicago, Vegas, Utah, San Jose, LA, Colorado, Vancouver. So Edmonton has almost all divisional games except for 3. I'm sorry, 4. 4 of the rest of the season non-divisional. Everything else is within division. Now, if we play the comparison game, when the Ducks had that stretch in January, they did exceptionally well locking things down against their division. The only blunders was the big one against Vancouver. That was the biggest blunder. So the division could help the Ducks, and those non-divisional games, Tampa Bay and 2 against Utah, that can be big as well.
Yeah, dude, that seems like a much tougher stretch because the Ducks had their gauntlet and they did pretty good up in with the exception of that 9-game losing streak in the 2-11, something like that overall. They've rebounded nicely. They played better before that and after that, and they're continuing to play good hockey. And man, I just keep thinking, man, if they get those points on Edmonton, it's sort of like in football when they have a 2-game lead with like 3 or 4 games left, like they control their own destiny.
Yep.
They're going to get into that form where it's like, okay, as long as we do A, B, and C, we're in good shape. All we have to worry about is us. We don't even have to scoreboard at this point. If we take care of what we do,
exactly.
Yeah, and we're hoisting that Pacific Division crown at the end of the year. So
and on the backside for Vegas quickly, they've lost 5 of their last 7. Massive. They have Nashville tomorrow on the road, then Dallas and Winnipeg. So Dallas, go Dallas. But then the rest of the way, Edmonton, Washington, Vancouver, flip the calendar to April, Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver, Colorado, Winnipeg, and Seattle twice. So they don't, both Vegas and Edmonton have Colorado one more time. They each play each other twice. They both have a little sprinkle against Seattle. And, to me, Dallas, Washington, and Colorado are tough teams. So both Edmonton and Vegas have about 3 or 4 non-divisional games that could punch them in the gut. So if the Ducks play their cards right, and to me, handle business this week, especially on that Canadian road trip, I feel very confident going into April. No doubt about it.
I do too. I mean, possible 10 points sitting there and a good chance you can. I think, and here's the point, man. I'm bullish about this 5-game series coming up here, 5-game stretch, I should say.
Yes.
If I'd be disappointed, to tell you the truth, Dom, if they only get 7 points. Like, I would be disappointed. I'd be like, man,
you have to hold yourself up to a standard now at this point of the year. So yes, I would agree.
Yeah. And so then after that, we'll get into April's schedule, but we're going to do it 1 game at a time. And again, this isn't the Buffalo Dominique Hasek Buffalo Sabres with those cool black jerseys. I love those black jerseys, by the way.
Yeah.
I know they
have
got
a nice one.
Yeah, I know they've gone with a traditional one from the 80s and 90s they have now. It's like the retro look. But I like those late 90s, early 2000s jerseys. But yeah, for me, I haven't seen the Buffalo Sabres this good since Hasek.
Now this is again, final thing. I know we're deep diving tonight, and I'm really going through the stats right now because I'm a nerd when it comes to that.
I love it.
Buffalo Sabres in the month of March. This is how hot they are. 8-1. They beat Vegas, beat Pittsburgh, beat Nashville. They had that crazy win against Tampa, beat San Jose, lost to Washington, beat Toronto in a shootout, beat Vegas again, and beat San Jose again. They are on now. Here's the broader perspective. The Ducks Sabres game on Sunday at Honda Center is the finale of their 4-game West Coast road trip. They were in Vegas on Tuesday, in San Jose yesterday. They're going to be on the front end of a back-to-back tomorrow in Los Angeles, a day game against the Kings. So the Ducks will get the Sabres on the final game of a road trip and on the back end of a back-to-back, knowing that the Ducks need to capitalize.
Yeah.
You need to get, even if it's a pity point, get that point and take it to the bank.
Yeah, you need the Sabres. You need the Sabres to get roughed up by the Kings. And then, the Sabres come in just a little tired. You need the Sabres to go to overtime with the Kings and possibly a shootout.
But this plays into the Ducks mentality. Let the other team score first. Let them think the Rocky Bell. Well, that's what we're going to call it, the Rocky Balboa mentality. Get the first punch across your face, and then you go balls to the walls and kick some ass. So, and when a team's on the back end of a road trip on a back-to-back, that might be a recipe for success for the Ducks. They just got to screw their heads on straight and be ready to play. Do not come out, struggling out of the gate on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, they need to come out like, come on, man, hit me in the face, you got to do it, you got to do it.
Let's go. But hey, a win tonight, 4-1, always puts a smile on our faces and gets us in the right direction. 80 points.
Yeah, and one last comment to close it out right here, and I think this really makes our day here as Ducks fans, and I'm sure in the chat too. One more point, the Ducks' highest point total since the 2017-18 season, nearly a decade ago. So that just goes to show you what kind of team you are fanning for this season, Ducks fans. I mean, this is outside the realm of what we've unfortunately had to get used to, but the Renaissance is here, my friend. We have a team that is not going to be a one-hit wonder. Whatever they do this year is completely that just scrum-diddly-umptious gravy on that mashed potato on Thanksgiving, dude, because I think over the next few years, this team's just going to continue to get better and better.
Keep balling out. The Ducks looking to make it 2 in a row and points in 4 straight games on Sunday. Big win tonight, 4-1. If you just tuned in or a little bit late to the party, 3 stars of the game before we check out of here. Joe Stahl at the 3 slot, Paling at the 2 spot, and Alex Killorn, a goal and 2 assists in the number 1 star slot tonight. 4-1 win on the road, taking the series over Utah. Todd, wrap this baby up with a bow because the Ducks fly together.
Hell yeah. Let's get this out of the show on the road. Literally. Good night, everybody.
Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Anaheim Ducks win. And remember, Ducks fans, to check out the Ducks post-game show on the Halos in the Infield Network with Todd and Dom. Drive home safely, and we'll see you next game.
Good shit, my man.
Perfection. Very nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So we'll do it again.
We're still live. Whoops.
Oh, we are? Hi, everybody. That was